Well, hello people, and welcome back to part 77 of Orchid Bay, our vanilla city Skylines build. I hope you're having a wonderful day. We're going to start today's episode by getting involved in some national network time-lapsing. I want to bring some roads out from near the naval base to create a new interchange which will allow people to get to this part of the map a little bit easier. Before we turn to the focus of today's episode, which is really going to be about taking a look at the real-life topography that the Bay of Rivers map is based upon in Sanya, China, to go for a recreation, which is the first time we've really done this in Orchid Bay, and there's always a challenge in vanilla as well without the mods to go for a real-life recreation. Looks to be some sort of military installation slash academy, which I think we might be able to associate with our nearby naval yard. But either way, please enjoy the setup of a new service interchange, and then we'll get stuck in today's build, shall we? So this space over here, I'll give some context of where we are, was initially earmarked for the Space Center. However, I think we're going to put this more over this way now, because having recently discovered that Orchid Bay's topography is actually based off of real life in China, I'd like to do a replica build over here. So there's no street view in this part of Google Earth, unfortunately, so from what I can tell, it looks like it's a school, or at least some sort of academy out here, so I think that's what we're going to replicate. So we got this road coming through here. This links through from the interchange time-lapse we had in the start of the episode. This way not everyone has to bottleneck down this road that goes into the port. So we'll start building here. So we've also brought over the Lotus Institute here as well. This is the same campus that's over in, you can't even see it because of all the names. It's in the Lotus town, right, okay, all the way over here. So we can carry on leveling up our Academics Art Institute so we can get all the buildings out of that because we still need the uniques. So let's bring a road up here and we'll start positioning this together. So there looks to be sort of like an academy. Now I don't want a school out here because it's just not the vibe I'm trying to create. So I think what we will start with is actually a public library. So we'll have this here and then we'll have our roads come up to the top there. So it looks like there's a little sort of plaza out the front of this building in China, so I'd like to try and replicate that. Let's have some roads here. We'll also bring this one back onto the national road as well. And I'd love to try and create a bit of a shape here. It looks like there's kind of a flag here as well, a little bit of a park. We'll have that there. Let's go ahead and grab some date palms too. And we'll stick these on a line tool over this way. Pretty sensible to me. And we can have this as kind of like the front of the academy, I think. And then we'll do 2 trees either side of that. And then we'll do a row right apart from, something like that. And let's grab a statue as well from plazas. So let's go for modern sculpture number 2. And we can use this as a bit of an entrance at the front of our academy. So this would definitely be sort of space where people would walk in real life across this big concrete plaza at the front. So we'll do paths around it. And also around the back of our library as well, which we'll get to in a second. So there's also a running track in this little bit of China as well. Now there is no street view unfortunately, so I can't really confirm or deny whether or not there is sort of like a proper stadium here, but from the satellite imagery it looks like it's just a running track. So the campus one is like a massive stadia, isn't it, which is not really the vibe I want to bring in here. So I think what we will do is just make the running track itself with a little bit of custom path work, I think. So let's start out here. We will work with some dirt pathways. Let's come into our grid, so we'll go for, let's line it up with that, and then we'll do, let's bring the roads up alongside it as well, just so we can use those grid snap-ins. It's going to be helpful. Let's just make a little custom running track here. So let's fill in this central section with pathway, and then we'll do some nice little curves. Cool, and then I think we'll have the exterior as amusement park path, and then the interior as amusement park pathway, and then we'll have the exterior as interior. So it's kind of like a very mock vanilla running track, but it'll do a job for us. Like I said, I don't really want the match day mechanics kicking in here to attract a lot of people on match days, because it'll just get way too busy for the sort of vibe I'm after. So we can have that. I'm happy with that. There's also a whole bunch of tennis courts or basketball courts out here as well, so we'll grab some basketball courts. Let's go for, we will just need to slightly bend off our road frames to accommodate that, but that's okay. Let's go for the grid road snap-ins here, and then we can push this back a little bit, and we'll give them a dirt road, I imagine. Yeah, something like that's pretty cool. So there's a ton of forest here as well. Now there's also a coastal road that runs around this bit of China. Now our road is not particularly built for this, but remember ages ago we added a tunnel entrance here as well. Something eventually happening over here. So I reckon this is probably the most appropriate place to bring down a sort of coastal national road. So I think over here we're going to do some fishing. In China it looks like there's kind of new shipyards being built here. There's an aircraft carrier as well. There's some more kind of industrial port infrastructure being brought in. We can't really do that in vanilla, and we've already done the naval base vibe. I think we'll do fishing here. But first of all, let's go ahead and get this coastal road running around here, and we'll hook it into the road that comes out here now. So this gives us our mountain road, and we'll just blend that layer back in so it's not as obviously flat around the road. And we should be able to have some fun with that. So it'll be interesting to see just how much traffic that siphons off of the other entrance into the very isolated region here. I'm happy with that. We'll let that run through. And then there's obviously a lot of construction going on around this part of China, so lots of these little dirt tracks knocking about. I reckon we'll feed this out of the campus. Do we want to maybe have a building behind? No, I think we'll leave it there. Leave it there for right now. And then this can go sort of off and then curve into that road there. Now this looks like a bit of challenge as well. It's been like heavily deforested because where there's not infrastructure currently here, it's very, very dense mountain forest. So that's definitely a vibe I want to bring in where we're not having buildings. So we'll spread all this forest through here. And we'll also make sure we extend these roads coming out of the campus here a little bit still. Super weird build this, like I'm taking massive assumptions here. I'm assuming this is some sort of academy or campus or something. It seems a bit of a weird place to have one. Granted, I'm basing that entirely upon sort of Western building styles, I suppose. And we've never taken inspiration from China before. We'll see how that turns out. But it certainly should leave it to be one of the more interesting builds in the city, I think. So let's grab some liberal arts assets. There's a bunch we haven't used here. We've got the study hall. Why don't we have this one here? And then we also have the gymnasium as well. Library would be pretty cool. Let's have this one. Do we actually want this one as our main building? And maybe relocate the actual public library over there. And that one's a bit more of a main building look about it, hasn't it? So I think we'll actually go with that one in that case. And have the other public library in that space instead. And then why don't we grab a commencement office too? And have that on there. Then they're just kind of like a collection of faculty buildings. We've also not used the environmental studies school yet either, which is a real chungus asset. This one's a big boy, but there's nothing that big out here, so I think I'd rather save this for use in a more metropolitan area than here, and maybe in a redevelopment of some of the main centres around the downtown. Eventually we can put that in. That gives us 3 buildings. Like I said, you know, Editing Egg will be leaving a lot of Google Earth shots up for us today. So we'll be able to see exactly what sort of infrastructure we're looking at here. And it's just sort of like a collection of buildings, so I don't want to get too dense. Let's bring this forest around the side as well. Really enclose this campus. Yeah. Oh, that's not too bad, is it? I wouldn't mind a gymnasium over here as well. Why don't we have that one? We'll have that one there. And then we'll do an art club behind the museum or the library as well. And then same thing we did up at the front here. I want the space around these buildings to be a lot of this kind of cohesive, walkable, open concrete texture. So let's see if we can line up some fun patterns here. Let's do our pathways first, then we can snap the concrete to that. We'll have this one come all the way down, and we'll eventually make this a walkable road, so we can make use. We'll probably do some asymmetry out here on the turn into the road. Yeah, and then lots of like concrete space here where it would make sense, right, to walk into these little side doors on the buildings. Let's use our surface painter to achieve that. This has been an absolute godsend of a tool, hasn't it, in vanilla? Do something like that, and then around the side as well. That's, yeah, I'm pretty happy with that. I'm pretty happy with that one. And then same here again as well. Lots of that concrete space where it makes sense. Not on this side where we've got the trees. And then hopefully those pathways will now just extend around, and we can maybe put them into some car parking designs here, because I think it makes sense to have some parking over this way, wouldn't it? Let's use the small ones. Let's do 2 like that. Let's go ahead and miss a square every time. There we go. And then we'll fill that in with some trees. Let's go for something slightly more Asian, perhaps, where we're taking inspiration from China. Which is the first time, really, I think we've ever headed to Far East Asia for cities inspiration, hasn't it? Because it's such a distinctive visual style that usually you need to go to the workshop to achieve it, I think. But, you know, you see some of the Asian builds on YouTube, they're incredible. Of course, Palms times Maya is one that really stands out. I know there's some very insane Japanese builds as well. If you head way back in the day, I think Infrastructurist did like a really just nuts Japan build. So maybe one day, maybe way in the future, we can have a look at an Asian inspired build at some point. But I like that. I do like that there. And maybe a touch more concrete up this way as well. Something about there. Maybe we can make a little sort of song and dance of a little statue here, maybe. With some tiny benches around it, if we can find any. Maybe some of these. Make it part of this little sort of academy, I guess, is the word we're going to give it. Orchid Academy or something like that. That'd be quite cool. Even though it is part of the Lotus Institute. Cool. Yeah, I'm happy with that there. You get the general idea. It's a really weird, unique place, isn't it? But definitely some cool, unique inspiration to take for cities. It's definitely not just another campus, is it? So the land over here, we do have fertile land, but it doesn't look to be farmland in China. It just kind of looks like unused Greenland, I guess, is the way to describe it. We've got an animal out here as well. Here's a wolf. We don't usually see the wolf, do we? It's usually the cougar or the deer knocking about in the wilds of Orchid Bay. But was that in the mountain? That. Oh, it's an outside connection, isn't it? Just is. You can see the 747 in its natural habitat, blending into the mountain slopes. As I want to do some fishing over here, I mentioned there's big sort of like naval base yards in China. That looks like over here you can see what looks to be an aircraft carrier in Google Earth. So I reckon here we'll do some keys, key all this up, and get a nice fishing marina out here. So let's go for. Do you want to also bring ferries out this way? Ferries might be cool here. Although there's no ferry line here, is there? No, we'd have to bring it all. No, yeah, we're not gonna do ferries around here. Ferries is too much. We'll go ahead and grab a key. I don't want too much fanciness over here. Don't want it to look too developed, so I think we'll just do a simple seawall, the one without the design on it. Let's do some angles here as well. Get a little 70 angle on the go. Also, we do need a little bit of terraforming some of the corners. There we go. I think I'm happy with that. And we'll try a pizza over here as well. And then we'll run that up to there, I think. There we go. Just gives us a bit of a key there, doesn't it? Let's go ahead and get some fishing down. We don't really have a vast amount of fishing in Orchid Bay, do we? What's over here? We've got anchovy in the sort of harbour shallows, and then it goes to shellfish out in the side, doesn't it? Okay. So do we want to mix and match? There's a shellfish fishing harbour here. So let's have that one there. And then we'll have anchovy over this way. Is that what we're after? 2, maybe go for 3 as well. Can we get another shellfish fishing harbour here? Yeah, I'll be happy with the 3 pairs. Let's go ahead and get all these linked together. Here we go, and we'll put that into there as well. I'd love to combine some of the other fishing assets here as well. Have we used the shellfish factory? We have, haven't we? Yes, it's in Sharon, isn't it? Because Sharon smells like fish, of course. Yeah, that's where it is. So we'll have the fish market here. And then we'll also get a fish factory. Do you want that right next door? We want to combine some industrial units, maybe play with some orientation here as well. Are we possibly able to enjoy a different angle here? No, but I reckon we could do if we delete this one. I reckon we might be able to have some fun with fusing here. Where is its connection happy? About there. Okay, well that's perfect. Let's wrap that up around the side. And then hopefully the airport surface painter will not collide with this. And then this way we can kind of blend in the fish factory and the market together. Make it appear as though it's kind of a sort of cohesive complex here, right? I think I'll be on board with that. And we don't have that much industrial zoning. well, demand rather, around here, so I don't think there's much need for any zoning, but wouldn't be averse to some industrial evolution happening out this way, so we'll get industrial demand again eventually, so why don't we have it sort of prepared out this way. We'll prepare some little industrial spaces for zoning. I thought that should be okay. Let's go ahead and give this a little district as well. We'll give that industrial evolution, and we will zone up a little bit of industry here. Cool. So let's get these efficient harbours flowing. Which just feel like a good point for detailing time-lapse actually. Because I think here what we're going to do is just run some dirt pathways off and then do some mock tree line fields, because I don't think I want functional farm space out here. Again, it doesn't particularly look like it's functional farming, so I reckon we'll do some sort of tree lined fields and dirt roads and whatnot, and just kind of blend out of civilization, if that makes sense. Maybe get the occasional little outhouse here or something. Maybe there's something we can use from the actual farming stuff. Maybe something like little workers barracks or something looks to be out here. We might bring some farming stuff into here. Again, I don't want to attract a vast amount of industrial traffic, especially if the harbour's already here as well. I guess I'll wait and see. And I also wanted to bring some of that asymmetry into the major junction here as well. Let's throw that one around this one as well. And these two. Cool. That just configures the front of the area a little bit there, doesn't it? Otherwise, let's detail up definitely one of the more quirky areas of Orchid Bay. Also tree line in here, some things out in the fields, a little bit more industrial zoning around here as well, with some further road connections, and set up our fishing lines as well. And we'll sort out any nastiness that's happening on this dirt road. Might re-slope it a little bit on the coast road, I think. A little flat for my liking at the minute. But we'll tie it all together and get it working, and then we'll be right back. Okay guys, let's have a little look at what's happened over here during our detailing time-lapse, shall we? So just like we saw in Google Earth, this space has just been turned into dirt tracks and overgrowth, as we saw in that part of China. And it's not turned out too badly. I'm pretty happy with it, to be honest. And it's just sort of a nice transition back out of civilization, isn't it? As we head towards this map fog near the mountains. Coming toward the campus and the roads, we have lots of fencing. A little bit of high-density residential in here as well, just to provide some local workers that were needed for the industry over by the harbour. And this asset sort of blends in as well with the rest of the campus, so I'm pretty happy with it. All of our parking is now in place, and there's some really nice open concrete space designs around here actually, with some designs I wouldn't mind actually bringing into an actual campus space itself. And then more pathways through here. No service paints around here because we've got all the trees, so it does look weird when the concrete's going through the tree. But we do have some people graduating, which is always nice. And then people playing on the basketball courts now as well, with our mock running track over here as well. With some fountains and benches around the back of the library. And then the whole space is pretty much replica of what we see in that bit of China. I've no idea what it is. It looks like an academy or some sort of campus, maybe something with military affiliations, given the fact that there's aircraft carriers not too far from here. Not entirely sure. If anyone does know, please feel free to let me know in the comments. We'll come down here, ended up noticing a little bit of water in and around this kind of natural space in Google Earth, so just decided to terraform a little bit of a lake through here. With lots of overgrowth and trees around it as the roads now form bridges as they come over. Lots of fencing and rocks around the shore, with some overgrown vanilla surface painter. Same over here as well with the pathways, and allowing lots of little grasses and bushes to sort of come through that landscape. Did actually end up having 2 buildings abandoned due to lack of workers, like I mentioned, and was going to delete them, let them regrow, but I think we'll leave them in. I think it kind of helps create the theme of, you know, this area is under redevelopment, or development at least, and there's older buildings here now that need knocking down, and that this part of the city has kind of almost been forgotten about by the Orchid Bay sort of city council, if you like. You know, they're much more focused on developing the financial districts, you know, way over the horizon in the main city centre, whereas this bit's just sort of been left to rot and is no longer really cared for and is on the precipice of redevelopment, if you like. More of overgrowth patterns around here just to help fill out our harbours, with the pathway linking back down toward here, where we have just also reconfigured the roads around the fish market so they remain connected, but also allow lots of open concrete space to develop around, so just makes it look more like a bit more of a sort of cohesive facility, doesn't it, when you do the service painter stuff? Things we're familiar with now at this point in Vanilla CS. And it's pretty much a replica actually of what you see in Google Earth. It's a very weird complex, but a nice way to blend out of civilization and to finish a very awkward part of the map. And we will still do our space industry, but we're going to put it elsewhere on the map, I think. I just wanted to do this here where we have such a unique landscape. Wanted to try and put what is actually here in China, because of course, as you've seen today, Orchid Bay's topography is based off of Sanya in China, if you want to go ahead and check it out. Then our country road here is getting a little bit of use. There's some nature reserve fencing and overgrowth along the beach, just as a little bit of a safety barrier, just in case someone does spin off the road. At least they have something to stop them going into the water, depending on the speed, of course. And then this comes through here, that links back through, and then the other road heading north as well is also getting a little bit of use. There you go, there's a truck. It's not as busy as the other one, and then the interchange now provides more of that sort of national road connectivity as we head back out of Orchid Bay, which of course is also going to help alleviate pressure on the rest of the city's networks as well, having another highway connection here. Because currently, to get back on the highway before this existed, and we had to come all the way back out of the port, and then people over this side would have to trek all the way back through Orchid Bay to get to these major highway networks over here. So just another little service interchange is always welcome. You can see it's managing the traffic pretty nicely, nothing too busy, or just about taking those pressure points off of the major areas, of course. But a really awkward bit of the map, and some quite fun and very unique inspiration to take from Google Earth today. But otherwise, that is going to do it for today, guys. I'd like to thank you all so much for watching, and indeed continuing to support Skylines 1 content on the channel. If you have enjoyed it, likes, comments and shares below really do help me out. Even if you haven't enjoyed it, please feel free to leave me a dislike as well. I'd definitely be up to returning to Sanya in China, maybe on some of the areas near Imperator's Air Force Base, because I've no plans for that particular part of the city. So maybe we can head back to Sanya at some point in Google Earth. and take some inspiration about how all those very unique valleys are actually filled out in China compared to what we've done in Orchid Bay. And it's really interesting, to see Orchid Bay in real life. I think if I'd have known that when I started the map, that would have really influenced my layout as to where the airport sits and all the other bits of infrastructure. It's totally different to how it's been developed in real life. But I don't want to make Orchid Bay too Google Earth inspired, of course. We tend to save that sort of stuff for Dessia. So don't get used to a vast amount of that happening, but we might dip back into it occasionally as the series comes to an eventual close. An enormous shout out to all the patrons that support the channel. You are all a secret blend of herbs and spices. If you're interested in getting involved in that, there are links down to Instant Gaming and Patreon below, which are the best ways to support the channel outside of that YouTube engagement. Otherwise, please enjoy today's cinematic spot. I'll shut up and leave it there. Let's thank you all so much for watching. And as always, enjoy the rest of your day.